The Cheeseboy 628 Show, starring Cheeseboy 628.
Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here today giving you a Theory Thursday. Sorry for a little bit later of a Theory Thursday upload. I wasn't even sure if I was going to get one up today because it's been a long day, let me tell ya. But nonetheless, I'm actually able to get one up right now, and without further ado, let's talk about it. It's been requested for a couple weeks now. I have noticed from this commenter, this Yebzio man figure is just really passionate about Scyther, and so you know what, sir, you're going to get exactly what you want today. Now, what exactly do I think of Scyther? Well, I think Scyther is actually going to stay in the RU tier this gen. Like always, I've got my reasons, and let's just go right to its stats. Now, what's noticeable about Scyther is that it has decent offensive stats. It does have a base 110 attack stat and a base 105 speed stat. So offensively, it's quite impressive for the first stage of an evolutionary chain. It does eventually turn into Scyther, but with Scyther, it does get drastically slower. Although being bulkier and a little bit stronger, Scyther's speed is what makes it shine. Now, something kind of interesting about Scyther that I really learned this gen is that it's somewhat versatile when it comes to its offensive capabilities. It's never really known as a defensive wall despite having a Violate and 80 defenses, but you do have quite a few options on the offensive side. The most popular ideas I have seen are Life Orb, actually, despite just being the first stage of an evolutionary chain, as opposed to having a Violate, which is still a great option because you can carry Roost, take some hits, and then roost off all that damage and start hitting hard once again. It does have Swords Dance, and Swords Dance plus Life Orb could be very powerful. Like I was saying, that base 105 speed stat is very nice in order to deal a ton of damage and potentially sweep. It does have access to a lot of the moves that Scyther does besides Bullet Punch, but it does have access to Quick Attack and Means of Priority. It also does carry Swords Dance, and it can carry Bug Bite just like Scyther, but it also gets a 50% boost more from Aerial Ace than Scyther does because of the stab. And I definitely recommend putting Dual Stab on Scyther because its Dual Stab has pretty nice coverage other than steals, which aren't too common in the RU tier. Scyther really is just a mini Scyther, a slightly weaker one in fact. You could also run a banded set, by the way, which wouldn't be too awful when you do have that priority Quick Attack, Bug Bite, Aerial Ace, and even U-Turn. I'm sure there are plenty of other moves that Scyther has in its move pool that could be viable on that set. Now, running a Violate on a Scyther could actually be a very decent idea because putting even a little bit of bulk investment into those 80 defenses is going to make it quite bulky because 80 defenses in this gen are considered to be relatively bulky. While Bug Flying isn't the best combination when it comes to typing defensively, it still is able to quad resist moves that are of the grass origin or the fighting origin. So if you do come in on a choice Pokemon, you can go for a Swords Dance, and with Scyther's amazing speed and possibly a decent bulk after you attach in a Violate, it could potentially sweep quite nicely in the RU tier. Now, as I was somewhat talking about a little bit earlier, the reason that Scyther should stay in RU is because of its rather poor typing. Bug and Flying is just not one that's able to survive very well in the top tiers. Volcarona, for instance, is a bug fire typing which cannot handle Stealth Rocks whatsoever, but because of a decent move pool and for being a pseudo-legendary, it is able to stand up fairly well in OU. Scyther unfortunately doesn't have the capabilities to do such. It does have 5 weaknesses with a quad weakness in, well, you may have guessed it, Stealth Rock. And although Scyther does gain access to Defog, it's really not worth it coming in on Stealth Rock losing half of your health in order to defog rocks away. It's definitely better being offensive with support from other pokes to Rapid Spin or defog away rocks. This is why there's somewhat of a debate of the Charizards and Pinsir going to Ubers, because although they're very strong, they do have that rather huge rock weakness that does cripple it enough that makes it potentially OU viable as it is currently. And it's kind of the same example with Scyther here, where although Scyther is relatively powerful, It's not exactly rock resistant, and it's also not the strongest poke around in the first place, so it'll balance very nicely in RU. Something interesting about Scyther is that it is going to face some pokes such as Tangrowth, and Tangrowth is well known for being a physical wall. So, with having the Eviolite as its item as opposed to Life Orb or Band, an Aerial Ace or Bug Bite coming from a max attack Jolly Scyther does just enough to be about a 2-hit KO on a Tangrowth, and that's without saying that Tangrowth's Regenerator will let it switch out and then gain 30% more before it comes back in. Now this is also because of the scenario of a Tangrowth being an Assault Vest variant where they will probably just carry max HP. If they had more defense investment, it would probably be barely a 3-hit KO. So in conclusion, Scyther definitely has some decent offensive capabilities as well as the opportunity to have some bulk investment with the Eviolite, but unfortunately its power is not strong enough to get it up to RU, especially because of its typing and stealth rock weakness. So with that all said, I hope you all enjoyed. Of course, please suggest more for next week, and thank you all for watching. Like, comment, sub, and until later, peace.